Tim Carpenter in the studio with us. He is the National Big Cheese. let me get your official title.
One
here,
of many
Tim.
organizers.
National
with PDA.
Big Cheese, yeah. The National Director of Progressive Democrats of America, and pdamerica.org, and the co-founder. Tim, great to have you with us.
Tom, thanks. It's been a month already. It's good to be back. Thank you.
Since you were here last.
We were walking the halls of Congress, just like today. We're back.
So tell us what you're doing today. What brought you to D.C.?
Today was a good day for the progressives. We were out in the Cannon office building. Folks that have been to Washington know Longworth, Rayburn, Cannon, the oldest. So historically, one of the nicer houses to be in. And we organized what we called a progressive roundtable, a chance for Progressive Democrats of America to invite members of Congress to be our guests, to dialogue with them and talk to them and their staff about sequester, where we are now going into the State of the Union tonight, and more importantly, to bring those of us that are doing the outside work to the inside, as you know, inside, outside. Right. So we had members of the peace community there with us. We had folks that are working on talking about transitioning of the defense industry to meeting human needs, to a green economy, talking with members of Congress about what we could do with $1 million per soldier in Afghanistan here at home, how we could spend that money. So it was a great opportunity for us to dialogue and then to let them know next Wednesday, the big time for all of us, hopefully all the listeners, is to get to your member of Congress. Not everybody can come to Washington, as we said. So we talked to them about next Wednesday. Over 100 activists, just like you and I, will be taking to our district offices to have the same dialogue with our member of Congress coming off the State of the Union address.
The local offices.
Correct.
Right.
So the opportunity will be to go and talk to your member of Congress specifically about this ridiculous discussion, as you've so eloquently been talking about, this ridiculous discussion of austerity, to start talking about prosperity. We can't cut ourselves out of this. We got to start talking about jobs. We got to start talking about taxing Wall Street, and we got to take this message out of here back to our district offices, and that's what we plan to do next Wednesday.
Right. No country in the history of the world has ever has ever cut its way to prosperity. Or actually, we have taxed our way to prosperity. We've raised our taxes. We've spent that money on things like national infrastructure. It worked. Abraham Lincoln started that trend, and it worked quite well. But no country has ever cut its way to prosperity, and this is just it's crazy. It's flat out crazy. So Tim, let me get this right. Y'all come to Washington D.C., Progressive Democrats of America, pdamerica.org, and set up a room in one of the buildings that where members of the House of Representatives have offices, and you say to members of Congress, come on down and talk with us.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy.
And they actually showed up?
Well, this is a long process. We've been, as you know, 8 years in the making. It takes a while to get a member of Congress' attention. It's one thing to simply go into the office and get your calendar and get out the door. Right. It's another thing to really engage. And this is a result of a lot of work. Progressive Democrats of America began 4 years ago with a campaign that we called Brown Bag Lunch Vigils, where we physically went to our district offices, not just to drop a letter off, as we'll do next Wednesday, but we actually went out in front of the congressional offices and talked to just folks during their lunch hour to share with them where their tax dollars were going in real terms, what it meant during the buildup in Afghanistan and as the war in Iraq was moving forward, what it meant in real terms. So we spent a number of years going to district offices, in some cases 2-3 years. Out of that relationship, we began what we now call our Progressive Roundtable. So this is our third one. We started 2 months ago with the idea of, rather than being a guest and hearing what they had to say, we invited them to come hear what we had to say. So no, it didn't just happen by picking up the phone and calling them. It was a lot of organizing, and it's a result of 70,000 activists who formed a community of progressive Democrats to ask our members of Congress to have that discussion with us, to create that space. So it's a good thing, and we'll be back next month, and we're going to keep going until we succeed on some of these efforts.
What kind of response did you get? How many members of Congress dropped by?
Well, as you remember, last time I was here with you, the only member we actually met with was Jim McGovern during the quote-unquote fiscal cliff. We managed to survive that one. Sure. Today, there were no actual members that came through the doors. All of the key groups that we work with, or the key group we work with in Congress, is the Congressional Progressive Caucus, the CPC. Right. A lot of people aren't even aware that there are 73 members that identify themselves as progressives.
It's one of the largest caucuses in Congress.
Yeah, it is the largest on the Democratic side, and the two co-chairs are Raul Grijalva out of Tucson, Arizona, and Keith Ellison. So their offices were represented today. Right. The ranking member in the Judiciary Committee, Democrat Congressman John Conyers, who has been unwavering in his support and enhanced Medicare for our shorthand single payer. He was represented at the meeting through his staff. A number of offices came and went throughout the day. We were there for about 2.5 hours. What was important, Tom, was, as one of my friends indicated, was they didn't come just because they felt they had to or that they were pressured. They honestly were rolling up their sleeves, and we were having a discussion as progressives how difficult and how hard it is when you're a minority within a minority. Right. The Democrats are already the minority, and we're the progressives, which is the minority within our own party. how can we be relevant? What can we do in this space over the course of the next year or two? How can we organize ourselves both inside and outside Washington, knowing that we're not going to pass single payer? But what can we do by coming here month in and month out? And that's to build our community, to educate folks of the work we're doing, and then to bring it back home. And that's what today was about. It was to remind those members what we're doing and to get back into your local communities. As I said when we began, not everybody can get to Washington, but all of us can meet in our own communities and can visit our members of Congress at least once a month. Yeah. We can give our lunch hour.
I think a lot of people don't realize that members of the House of Representatives, members of Congress, have local offices. And I mean, you don't have to come to Washington D.C. to talk to people in the office, people who actually will take seriously what you have to say and will communicate back to the big cheese, to the member of Congress.
I'm still idealistic enough to believe in a government by and for the people. This is an opportunity next week. That's why we're going next week. Members of Congress will be in recess. They'll be back in their district offices. Pick up the phone, organize 4 or 5 of your friends, schedule some time. You're not necessarily going to meet with a member of Congress, but you're going to meet with that staffer. And out of that meeting, you're going to develop a relationship. And then you're going to go back the next time there's a recess. And then the next time the member does a town hall meeting, you're going to remind him or her of your work there. And then eventually, in some cases, and that's what PDA is about, is you will meet with those members of Congress. We have PDA activists now across the country that routinely meet with their member of Congress because they take it very seriously now that this is citizen diplomacy, citizen activism at its best, at its core, meeting with members of Congress.